ReefDudes is sponsored by Ecotech Marine and Bulk Reef Supply.
So about 3 weeks ago I did a video on ridding all the Aiptaisa in my Goni tank, and I figured it's time for follow-up. What's going on, guys? Devin from ReefDudes. So it's about 3 weeks past the hardcore Aiptaisa removal kind of weekend we had, and I would just like to follow up and say the tank is looking absolutely fantastic. If you remember, back in these torch rocks on the bottom, there's probably like 30 massive Aiptaisa in there. So I did go a little extreme, and I actually did pop out most of the rock and pressure washed it. And that definitely ridded the big ones. Now, I also did add an Aiptaisa eating filefish a few weeks back, and this little guy has been all over the tank, and I noticed I was fairly certain he was eating Aiptaisa, but I haven't seen him go after any of the big ones. So I figured I'd help him out and physically remove all the big ones myself. Now, there still was a ton in the sand bed, which I cannot find a single one anymore. So, I'm fairly certain he's been doing a phenomenal job of eating all the miniature ones. I sat there for about 5 minutes going over the tank, and I think I spotted one teeny Aiptaisa right over there on the rock. And that's the only one I can possibly find. So I might even just F-Aiptaisa it after this video just for good measure. It is phenomenal how much better the tank looks when it's not being overrun with Aiptaisa. Now, this is something that was taunting me for probably 6 months. I spent a fortune on Aiptaisa, and at the end of the day, a filefish and a pressure washer was, the magic bullet. And, it took 20 minutes to pressure wash the rock the one day, and, maybe 20 minutes the next day. Now, one key thing to success is I didn't have any of the corals glued to the rock like I did in my previous tank. As you can see, all of my frags I have mounted on their own little tiny rock. So that made it really easy to just pop these onto my sand bed and get to the rock itself. Now, the downside to that is, sometimes I'll find them upside down on the sand bed, and, I probably lost a little bit of coral because of it, or at least the edge of one from living in the sand bed, not noticing it for a little while. So I'll probably will take a few dabs of super glue and just kind of affix the rock, but they're still easy-ish to pop off if need be. But things were at the point where I was going, absolutely, this is driving me nuts seeing so much Aiptaisa in the tank, where it should be a beautiful, wonderful, flowy tank, and it was getting flowy for the wrong reasons. So things are definitely looking a bazillion times better. Now, it's also been ages since I've had an Aiptaisa eating filefish. They're definitely quirky little fish. They're, not the most colorful thing in the world, but they do a fantastic job. And it's actually really cool watching them, because they'll just hover in place and stare at something for a while. And it's really neat how they actually swim. This guy's kind of just blending into the background a bit, but super duper cool little guys. Shout out to AJ's for getting that guy in. I never see him actually eating the Aiptaisa, but they're all gone, so he's obviously doing a good job. And there is a risk that they could go after certain, fleshy corals in the tank. This is predominantly nothing but LPS in this tank, so I really hope the torches and gonis are safe long term. And as long as he's not going after coral, he's definitely in here for life, because he's just a rock star. Now, as for a bit of an overall tank update, we're still rocking the AI edges on the tank. Super duper cool lights. I really love the look of these ones. The camera never quite picks up what the eye sees, but the colors and the pop and everything is absolutely phenomenal under these. They're super duper quiet. I love that I do that little slight little tilt to it so I don't see the lights when I'm sitting at my desk. And yeah, they're really rocking lights. So far, still just rocking, my lower dosage of Reef, and that seems to be keeping the tank pretty darn happy. Other than a couple corals getting stung by torches or falling to the sand bed, everything else has been pretty dang happy otherwise. Nice word of warning with that guy, the Bernardopora. That guy will take over your rock work. I do have some of that in my water box, and it's been slowly encrusting, getting more and more up my rock work, and I do kind of wonder how I'm going to tone it back at some point. So if you do go with this guy, definitely do keep it on its own little island. It's a stunner, it's beautiful, but it can definitely take over long term. No real new additions to the gonis in the last little while. I think I am going to get a few from Frag Garage pretty quick here to add to the collection. Some of them may or may not be doubles, but either way, I think I'm going to try and pick up all the gonis he has just to expand out and, fill out some of these other spots on the rock, which I think should make it look pretty awesome. So hopefully a few more gonis coming my way next week. And for the torches, I'm not sure if I'm going to add any more. This rock is getting pretty full. If I do, it might be one more. It's kind of funny looking at these ones. They were different spots, different people, and they look pretty darn similar. One's a little more gold, one's a little more purple, but they both have that kind of purple striations going up the tentacles in them. That's funny, the different ones sourced from different places and how that all works out. This toxic green one, I don't know, this one might be Holy Grail, I'm not sure, but the mouse, camera doesn't quite pick it up. The mouse are the very yellowy and they're super cool. Definitely a more vibrant fluorescent in person than on camera, but she's definitely a beauty. That guy is the Dragon Soul. This one I definitely have copious amounts in my water box, and that's probably one of my torches I've had for years and years and years. It's definitely a cool one. And a few other ones, actually just noticing there's a short tentacle on the back of this rock, so I think I'm going to rotate that one so you actually see the shorter green one in front. Mushroom rock, haven't really done much with this one. It just kind of slowly does its thing and builds out. But these ultra orange citrus rhodactis are super cool ones. They're super bright. I've always loved those. They're pretty much the only non-Ghani aside from the torches in the tank, but just such a nice pop of color. And looking at this, I might actually try rotating the rock so it kind of curves down to the front. So little tiny tweaks. But yeah, so it's just a quick update on the Nyos440. Definitely a gorgeous tank, and now it's Aiptaisa free and looks about 100 times better. So yeah, it's my little office tank. So as I'm working away, I got this beautiful little reef tank to keep me company. As always guys, if you have any questions on it, let me know in the comments below. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.